is an incredible privilege to be here today speaking with you. And I have an important question to ask you. What is the key to sustainable high performance? This is an EEG headset. During today's presentation, I'm going to be using it to record my rhythms of stress and focus.
You were on stage a bit earlier, but for people who don't know anything about your work, you measure performance. What exactly do you mean by that?
The emphasis of my work is exploring knowledge work. So that's people who think for a living, which is most of us these days, certainly in the West, and exploring knowledge work as an endurance activity. Because our schedules feel packed, we've got back-to-back meetings, we're answering phone calls in the middle of the night. This is a three-dimensional rotating model of my brain. And this cascade of activity that you can see is actually my brain activity. If you're among the 79% of people who checked their smartphone within 15 minutes of waking up this morning, I'm afraid you haven't found the key. In most occupations, 30% of the work could already be automated. But as a human performance scientist, I'm fascinated with that other 70%. The 70% that is likely to be characterized by our most human capabilities. Take a look at that red line. See the peak in stress at the beginning of this demonstration? Perhaps we're not addressing the root cause of this distraction and fragmentation problem. We've worked for quite a long time in high performance environments, and we have worked in Formula One for over 20 years. We often talk about Formula One as our laboratory. We've been quite successful in that context. One of the reasons that Formula One fascinates me is that it truly is testing human cognition to its limit. 12 of the drivers that we've worked with have won Formula One World Championships. We've got a great success rate there. And often I talk about Formula One as an example.
What's the difference in between being in a really good day and in a bad day? It's just all going to be in your head.
So we need to accept those biases are there, accept when they're useful, when they're not. If gravity wasn't there, then we'd go into the air and we'd never come back. And so really, I'm very interested in exploring how you can use these things to your advantage. Cognitive performance actually varies by about 20% during the average day. And so one of the things I'm particularly interested in is measuring daily rhythms and fluctuations in cognitive performance in particular, but also in sleep, in stress, in mood, and looking at how those variables can either help or hinder our performance in the context of the workplace. Human cognitive capabilities are going to become an increasingly important differentiator in the future of work. I'm also really interested in what I call super performers. These are people who exhibit particularly high levels of cognitive capabilities, maybe an ability to sustain their attention to a much greater extent than we see in an average population. Well-being is set to become a business value of strategic importance. So what is the key to sustainable high performance? Well, I actually think there are three. The first is to be clear about where to focus your effort. Secondly, it's to be disciplined about when and where to rest. And finally, perhaps most importantly, find and follow your own rhythm. Pay attention to when you are at your best. Knowledge work, it's an endurance activity. Thank you.